Hello, this is Dr. Jeff Kim. I thought I'd share the story of my name. And this is a part of the My Story of Resilience, where students have a chance to think about their name and the story behind how they were named. And then I thought I'd share my personal teacher sample as well. So Dr. Jeffrey Sue Kim, National Board Certified Teacher. I'm going to just be highlighting different parts of it. First, let's go with Jeffrey. So when my parents came to the United States in the early 70s, I guess they might not have known a lot of English names at the time. So it might have actually been a time when there weren't very many Korean Americans. Most of the Korean Americans we see today came after post 1965, because before that the exclusionary laws were in place for Asians. So when my dad came, I don't know if he knew a lot of different names but anyways, what he ended up doing is, as I was being born, he asked the nurse, like, what's a good name for a boy? Jeffrey, right? And so he asked, like, what does that mean? And that name means God's peace, God's peace. And I love that. Whether it's the idea of me having that kind of peace, or hopefully I'm a person that's a peacemaker as well. So that's my first name, Jeffrey. Last name, Kim. Very common last name for people in Korea. And there's actually different kinds of Kims. I'm a Kim. And each different Kim has its own lineage and story. I will say though, when I was like young, I kind of was embarrassed, because you know how like sometimes the names are Kim, Jeffrey. And so I think some teachers, they got confused with my name. So they call me Kim, or Kim, in the United States is a little bit more feminine typically, right? A great feminine name. But, some people are calling you Kim. Then, it could kind of have like although in Korea, it's very respectable. In the United States, maybe it doesn't have the same kind of respectability, I would say. So I felt a little embarrassed at times when people would call me Kim or think that that's my first name growing up. And then maybe that was compounded by my middle name, which was like Sue, S-O-O, right? Sue. So it almost sounds like a girl's name, right? But it's actually short for Young-soo, which is my Korean name. So Kim Young-soo, right, would be my full Korean name. And Young-soo stands for just an eternal life, a very long, wealthy, healthy, prosperous life. And I do feel so blessed, and I wish that for myself as well. And so it's a great name, actually. But once again, not knowing the meaning when I was young and not being told the meaning, maybe it could have been a source of a little bit of embarrassment as well. So you can see how even in your name, it could be something that is hard to be proud of unless you kind of really understand the story behind your name, which is why I encourage my students to do this, and why I'm explaining as a teacher how I had to process it myself. So now I'm very proud of Jeffrey Sue Kim, but at the time, feeling a little bit embarrassed sometimes growing up. And then, the head of that is the doctor. So I have my doctorate in educational leadership from the University of Southern California. I have my specialty in teacher education in multicultural societies. So training up future educational leaders has been a passion of mine for a long time. My dissertation was on co-constructing university school community partnerships for urban school transformation. So back then, as I wrote that dissertation, I valued it, the partnerships that schools could not do the work alone of supporting our students. We need to all come together, schools, universities, communities. And so that's what the doctor kind of connects to and reminds me of. And then at the very end, I sometimes put comma, although I also have my master's in public health as well, but I usually put National Board Certified Teacher. That is considered the highest kind of credential that a teacher can receive, the most respected credential in the teaching profession. So that's a part of my identity, that's part of my story, that's part of my name. But you can see how, it was kind of a journey to get there, and it's kind of evolved a little bit over time with education and definitely my understanding. And so I encourage, whether they're adults or definitely students, what is your name and how are you named, and what is the story behind your name?